I'm delighted to welcome you all to the inaugural pitch competition for the Social Responsibilities of Business Senior Core Course. I'm Bill English. I teach 3 sections, sections 3, 4, and 5. My colleague Justin Tosi is here, teaches sections 1 and 2. This course has been around for a number of years. It's evolved, and I believe we'll even change title next year. One of the great innovations 4 years ago from our colleague Peter Jarowski was to introduce the business project. And the underlying idea was that it's one thing to step back and think theoretically about problems of business. It's another to actually have to reason through them from a first-hand perspective. Peter's project, I think, has been a tremendous contribution to this course. But one of the unfortunate aspects the last few years is at the end of the course, Peter said, you know, there were some really promising ideas that my students pitched. And I wish they actually had a chance to put some of these into practice. So Peter took the initiative this summer to raise some money from donors who were also excited by his proposition. And that's how this year's pitch competition was born. This is something we hope to have as an opportunity for every single semester going forward now. And we're delighted that these 5 sections are helping us launch it. So today, we have 6 groups competing. These 6 groups have all participated in the same project across the five sections, and they were chosen for a mix of both their outstanding pitch and their enthusiasm for the business project. The order of presentations will be first, slumber party; second, collegiate cleaning; third, searchlight; fourth, help me out; 5, rise; and 6, bullseye. And before we turn to the competition, I'd like to introduce Jeff Reed. Jeff is the founding director of Georgetown's Entrepreneurship Initiative. Jeff will in turn introduce our distinguished judges for today's competition.
Bill. All right, welcome everyone. I know it's exciting to be here on a Friday afternoon. I think this should be entertaining for everyone. And to keep the show rolling, we'll make this quick, but I do want to just explain some of the logistics and judging and have our judges introduce themselves. Our judges have a score sheet. The 4 main criteria, I'll read them out to you here. It's feasibility. Does this business seem likely to succeed? Do you have confidence in this entrepreneur and team? How well does this business incorporate Georgetown's core values? And then, is prize money of $2,000 or $3,000 or $10,000 likely to make a difference with this business? Each of the judges will be asked to use those criteria to come up with an overall score. And after all the teams have pitched, we'll look at those overall scores and determine the first, second, and third place winners. And we have some big checks that we'll pose for nice photos with. And then you guys will give you a chance to go out and launch those businesses and be really successful. And I'd just like to take this moment to remind everyone, if you don't already know, that the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Initiative and the Startup Voice program offer resources for student entrepreneurs that are available all year round. I know some of you have already taken advantage of our programs, attended our events, but anyone who has an interest in entrepreneurship should consider meeting with one of our entrepreneurs in residence, coming to one of our pitch events. Everybody here had to pitch a business in your class. You can pitch that business or another one in our Startup Voice Challenge competition that will be coming up in the spring semester, where there's more prize money at stake. So please consider entrepreneurship to be part of your career in life. I know a lot of you, if not all, are going to be graduating in the next few months. You may not start a business right out of school, but maybe at some point in your life you're going to want to join a startup or launch a company, and we hope you'll take advantage of the resources that Georgetown has to provide. So with that, I'll now ask each of our judges to just stand up and face the audience and just tell a little bit about yourself. And we can start over here with Peter Mellon.
Good afternoon. I am Peter Mellon. I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at Georgetown University. Also lead our alumni entrepreneurship initiative. It's called the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Alliance. We're going to be hosting our pitch competition, alumni pitch competition, by the way, next year in April in Seattle. So if any of you know alumni who are starting companies, let them know about it. I have been an entrepreneur for about 25 years and currently run a network of entrepreneurship peer groups.
Hi everyone, my name is John Jabara. I'm also an entrepreneur in residence here. I have spent my career with GlaxoSmithKline, 22 years running business units all around the world, Germany, UK, Australia, United States. I currently have a small solar company. I spend a lot of time at the University of Maryland teaching entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, technology entrepreneurship, and also here at Georgetown, where we've just started the Startup Hoya's Med group, which is a large group focusing on healthcare innovation for all life science majors at Georgetown, so we're excited about that. Two things that I wanted to remind everybody of. One of them is you have to get on the email list to find out what's going on with Startup Hoyas. You go to startuphoyas.org, there's a newsletter. What's that?
Startuphoyas.com.
Startuphoyas.com. There's a newsletter. It tells you all the events going on, who's on campus that you can meet freely with entrepreneurs, you can get advice, you can pitch ideas. So that's definitely one thing. And then every Tuesday night is something called Chalk Talk. And Chalk Talk is an opportunity for you to go to a room where there's 3 or 4 entrepreneurs in residence and you can pitch any idea, ask if people have connections, network, a challenge that you might be facing with your business or with a business plan in a class. All of that is available free to anybody in the university that's interested in starting up a business or just in an innovation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudia. I'm a recent Georgetown grad. I actually had to do the same business pitch that you guys did, but sadly there was no money involved at the time. I am now working on a startup called ClassPulse that allows students to continuously share their feedback with the professors. Yeah, that's it. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Laura Clark, and I'm an entrepreneur in residence. Started that this year after selling a business that I had regionally here and sold to a national company. And I'm very much looking forward to what we're about to see.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Anderson. I'm the founder and CEO of Raheem. Raheem supports you through anonymously rating and reporting police interactions that go directly to mayor's offices and police precincts. We're the first nonprofit to be funded by the Obama Foundation. I'm also a recent graduate, a 2015 graduate of Georgetown, so I'm super excited to be here. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks to all our judges. So we'll get the show on the road in just a second. What we'll ask each team to do is come up. You can see the first team's already got their slide deck loaded. We'll get your deck loaded. We've got 2 microphones the team can use, 2 handheld mics as well as the podium mic. You definitely need to use the microphones. And make sure you hold it close to you, because if you're down here, then people can't hear you, right? So make sure you speak into the mic. We have a timer in the front. Charlotte, why don't you raise your hand? Okay, so Charlotte is going to be keeping time. Your team has 6 minutes to present. She'll kind of give you a 1-minute warning. She'll do like this when you have 1 minute left, and then when it's done, she'll call time. The judges are going to have about 3 or 4 minutes to ask questions. Then she'll call time on that, and then it'll be time for the next team to come up. Sound good? All right. Let's invite up Slumber Party.
Hi, I'm Dan Vikas. This is Will Burke and Kevin Shaw, and we are a Slumber Party. So 3 weeks ago for Georgetown Homecoming, I had 6 friends from other schools come and visit me. And I live in an apartment off campus. I have 1 bed and 1 couch, so they had nowhere to sleep. So they ended up sleeping on the floor. They said it was literally the worst night's sleep they've ever had. They had dirt all over them from a crazy homecoming weekend. Their backs were sore. One of them had to go see a chiropractor. It was miserable. And I've thought about buying an air mattress, but I'm moving to San Francisco when I graduate, so I don't really want to own one. And I also don't want to store one in my apartment because they take up a lot of room. They're really bulky. So to solve this problem, we're creating a business that does short-term rentals for air mattresses, primarily for college students.
And so how are we going to actually launch this business? So we're about to detail our business model. And so our plan is to be a DC-based air mattress rental company. And so we're going to start in the DMV area and focus on major universities, such as Georgetown, GW, Catholic, Howard, and American. And then, similar to the sleeping expansion model, we want to focus on DC first and eventually expand to the East Coast as well as the rest of the United States. And so we envision a 3-day rental process, so $25 for the twin, $30 for a full air mattress, and they'll both come with sheets, and then each additional day you want to rent the mattress will cost you $10. And we plan to offer 2-day shipping by partnering with FedEx for small businesses. And so, how does the air mattress rental process actually look for a user if one of you in the crowd wanted to actually rent one from Slumber Party? So it looks a little bit like this. So first you would sign up as a user on the Slumber Party website, then you would select the mattress option, either twin size with sheets or full size with sheets, and we make sure to offer sheets because we can run into some health standards if we didn't offer sheets. And then we want to offer a 3-day rental period. You pick your delivery date, your return date, and then you put your address and payment, and then you enjoy your mattress. And then we'll actually cover your return shipping, which has been calculated into our cost. So all you have to do is print out the return shipping label, put it on the original FedEx box that we shipped it to you with, and just give it to your either RHO or mail office or whatever's closest to you. And so what do we actually have to do to set up this business? We kind of look at it in 3 major areas. The first is we have to set up our e-commerce site. So obviously the website where users are going to interact with the company is the most important for us. So we're going to purchase the domain name slumberparty.com or GoDaddy.com, sign up for the shared hosting service so we can pay $2.99 a month, which is cheaper than having to provide our own servers. And then I'm actually just going to set up the website myself. I've built multiple websites that require booking and calendar payment in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so that wouldn't be a cost for us. And then I would just have to make sure that we have the website features, go through user testing. And then we need to set up the mattress delivery process, so actually ordering the mattresses and the sheets that we're going to use for our rentals, and then arranging a cleaning service with a local cleaning provider that we're going to detail a little bit later, and then set up delivery and return channels through FedEx. And the last thing we need to do is actually just go to market. So we're going to do that by launching a marketing campaign in like the class of whatever Facebook pages that all the colleges have, so that we can get to as many students as possible when we launch. And so who are our key partners in order to do this? So for mattresses, we're going to partner with Intex Recreation Corporation. They have a 40-year track record of meeting industry standards for reliability with air mattresses. And then for shipping, we're going to use FedEx that has a small business discount that Will's going to detail in the cost structure. And then for our cleaning partner, we're going to use Wash Cycle Laundry. And they're a DC-based cleaning service that offers Georgetown students full laundry service. So we could simply order the service, put all our sheets into the laundry bag, and ship it out with them. And then they will wash the sheets and deliver them back to us. And then we just need campus reps, so students within the DC area will just be reaching out to friends we've met at other schools or people that are interested in working for the company, and then incentivize them with a percentage of sales, or if they hit a certain sales record at their campus, we can incentivize them with either free mattresses or a cash incentive.
So we think we have a good idea here, but we need the finances of the business to work in order to make this happen. Obviously, as a mattress company, we think most of our costs are going to be upfront. We estimate that will be $2,430. Most of that comes from the mattresses themselves. So we plan on renting 20 mattresses, 15 twin size and 5 full. The cost for that is about $45 per twin and $60 per full, for a total cost of about $995. We're also buying bedding for every mattress, so 2 sets is about $16 per twin mattress and $20 per full. In order to create our business, we need to incorporate, based off our research, that's about $445 in DC, and then to create a business, to create a website is about, from our estimation, $50 a year. Finally, we plan on outsourcing our laundry needs, so we looked into Wash Cycle DC, which charges about $600 per year for the laundry needs that we have. On the variable cost side, shipping is really our only variable cost. Using FedEx ShipStation, which is set up for small businesses, we can get about 29% discount on express boxes for a total round-trip fee that we will cover totally of $15.63. On the revenue side, we have a weighted average estimation of about $27.25 per mattress rental. That's based on $25 for a twin, $30 for a full, and then a $10 late fee that we estimate will occur about 10% of the time. Based on these calculations, we would need to rent 206 mattresses to break even based on our fixed costs, and then from there, 4.2 rentals per twin and 5.8 per full. And so, based on all this, why should you invest in us? And we have 4 main reasons why. First, we've demonstrated we have a target demographic that has a demonstrated need. There's a shift towards a sharing economy, which we directly address as a rental service for mainly millennials and college students. Our profit margin is about gross profit margin is about 44%, which is good in almost any industry, and we have a scalable business model that we can expand starting in DC and then moving into other college hubs across the country. So we'd like to take any questions now, and thank you for hearing our pitch.
I'm just wondering where you're putting the cost for things like marketing and legal.
So in our cost structure, on LegalZoom.com, we've estimated, we accounted for a $445 incorporation cost that covers legal, and then marketing-wise, we're mostly going to be going through social media, and since we can set up a business account on Facebook for free, or Instagram for free, and Twitter for free as well, we can launch in all those pages for free. And so we don't plan on having significant marketing costs up front. Eventually, we expanded. Obviously, we would plan to have a marketing team, but our marketing costs will mostly be incentivizing our campus reps and just the legal fees of the incorporation.
Do you have any estimate for the market size with the market for this kind of product?
So for market size and like demonstrated need, we basically just gone off our own experiences. So we plan mostly around things like homecoming, Georgetown Day, and because Howard Homecoming is super successful, eventually, Maryland has huge football games on the weekends. We know that many students visit their friends on weekends, and they don't have sleeping accommodations for them. They don't want to rent their own Airbnb because that's much more expensive. So we plan to we feel like there's a demonstrated need in the market such that people would rent Airbnb.
Yeah, and there we estimated about like 40,000 college students in the DC area. So that's like basically what we have to base it off. We think that that's plenty big and based off that size.
Cool. How do you guys incorporate Georgetown values into the business?
So we didn't have a box for that. We think that part of our other research was just sort of like competitors and how they have shortcomings. We think that we can solve that. Like we found problems with Airbnb and sort of like demographic discrimination, stuff like that. We think that the way our business model is set up, we can avoid problems that pretty much plague like the hospitality industry. And I think that's probably the biggest way that we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, through our research, we found that Airbnb has had a lot of trouble in the past with discrimination. People not wanting to rent to certain races or just various groups. And we think that we can take, because Airbnb just provides the platform, so you have that risk of, someone could be using your platform and they make that decision. And since we are the ones sending out these mattresses, we can ensure that that won't happen.
And then lastly, we're just a college startup for college students. So I feel like that embodies a Georgetown. We're trying to help you out so that you don't have to sleep on the ground and go to a chiropractor and pay insurance dollars and deductibles rather than just paying our $30 mattress fee.
Good job. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So, picture this. You're a student at a large university like the University of Texas. You're on campus for the day already. You finish up whatever you're doing in the library a few minutes early. You have some free time, and you want to go to the gym. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the day, you didn't account a gym visit into your schedule, so you have none of your workout clothes. Now, you're standing there thinking, wow, I have to go all the way home, change into my workout gear, come back to campus, work out, then I have to go home again, shower, change into regular clothes, come back to campus, and be there on time for whatever commitment you have. This is a huge waste of time, super inefficient, doesn't need to happen. We have the solution. We are Collegiate Cleaning, and I'm Tom Walker.
I'm Todd Lowe.
I'm Ben Stern.
And I'm Sophie Tran.
Okay, so here's an outline of what we plan to cover today. I'm going to identify the problem. Then Tiff is going to talk to you guys a little bit about how we plan to solve this problem and what our business model looks like. And then she's going to hand it off to Ben to talk about feasibility and what we would do with any investments you make in our company. Okay, so the problem. We really see the problem as twofold. So from gym usage on campuses today, we see the problem of inconvenience. So Tom touched on it just now with his story, but it's super inconvenient when you get out of class and have to go all the way back to your dorm, then back to the gym, and then back to your dorm. There's a lot of wasted time there, and it doesn't need to happen. And then another inconvenience is what to do with your sweaty clothes. You don't want to put it in your bag. It's going to make your bag smell. You could damage valuables like your computer or your phone. And then the second problem we identified with current laundry practices is the environmental impact. So in our research, we found that over 50% of college students do not fill their laundry loads up to maximum capacity, which ends up wasting a ton of water. And then we also know that most college students are pretty price sensitive, and they're not willing to pay the premium for environmentally friendly detergent.
So our solution is actually really simple, and it involves using one of these laundry loops. So how this works is that you'll come into your university gym, you'll meet one of our lovely representatives, and you'll be in your regular clothes, and you'll be able to pick up your clean clothes from this loop. You'll go work out, then you'll take off your dirty clothes, and you'll put it back on the loop. And then overnight, we'll wash these clothes in our on-campus laundry facilities. So clearly this solves the convenience factor. You'll be able to go to the gym whenever you want to, and you don't have to plan for it. It'll also solve the environmental concern, because we'll be consolidating everybody's laundry, and we'll be using really high-efficiency washers and dryers, and that will help us save on water and energy and detergent. And finally, we're really incorporating Cura Personalis into this. We're caring for the whole person. We're making a healthy campus where people can go and work out whenever they need to, and we're eliminating all the barriers that they usually have. So the way that we've set up our cost structure represents the way that we've segmented our market. So our first tier is going to be a 1-month trial subscription for anybody that wants to try out our service before they really commit. Our second tier is a 1-semester plan that is geared towards students and faculty who are only on campus during the school year, and they're not necessarily around the entire year. And finally, our 1-year plan targets the faculty and community members that are on campus year-round and will need our services.
Great. So now I'll touch on briefly the feasibility and why we think this business model is a really potentially successful one. So we have a bunch of financial analysis in our appendix, and we want to go into more detail later. But I'll touch on 3 highlights of our financials. The first is the low startup cost. So because we chose to rent rather than buy both the equipment and the retail space, our startup costs are really low. And in fact, we're getting all the revenue from our customers up front, which really helps, as you'll note in the next section about investment allocation. It helps make this a really feasible project. Secondly, I'd like to note we have really strong operating leverage because the fixed costs are the major costs of our business, both the location, the machines, and the employees. The more users we have per space just adds more incremental profit and increases our profit margin, as we've seen in the figure behind me. And then kind of following from that, our high profit margins allow us room for error in this business plan. So we've looked at competitive laundry services to make our pricing, and we feel that it's a price that will be fair and compete in the market. However, margins give us room to bring our pricing down. If we start at one university and find that the prices are a little too high for our market, there's room to adjust that down. So yeah, looking at what we would do with an investment, we think, so looking at our pricing, it's about $1,900 to run 1 month of operations. This accounts for the machine rentals, in addition to the space and the consumables, whether that's utilities, detergents, or the loops themselves for our business. So with a $2,000 investment, we'd be able to cover our first month of operating expenses. So we are, as going to second semester seniors, all taking much fewer credits than the norm, so we'd be the employees at the business, at least in the initial period. With an additional $1,000, bumping to $3,000, we'd be able to actually help invest in our website, as that's kind of the main customer-facing portal of the business. We'd like to have a strong infrastructure to be able to support the sales we intend to make online. And then finally, with the $10,000, we'd be able to cover 3 months of operations here at Georgetown, in addition to being able to spend on making a marketing push at the beginning of the semester, to be able to lock in those full year and full semester plans that we need to make at the beginning of the year in order to push out through the full semester. So thank you for everyone for your time today, and we'd love to take questions.
So it sounds like you're going to be storing these clothes at the gyms, if I got that right. So what is it you're going to be asking of the gyms, and how are you going to incentivize them to serve as representatives in store space for you?
Yeah, I think there's kind of two parts to that. So one, we'd be renting the facilities and paying a fair rent, but we think that our service adds value to gyms. So I think if you look at schools across the country, a lot of schools, you have to actually pay extra for the gym. So they have to compete with third-party gyms, whereas Georgetown's kind of an anomaly in that the gym is included in tuition for a lot of students, except they still compete for faculty members as well as for community members. We think that we add value. If you look at a lot of luxury gyms, like the Equinox, they have similar laundry services, and we think that it allows campus gyms to help compete with some of the higher-end gym offerings.
So how serious are you guys about actually working on this as a real business?
We're all not taking that many credits this semester, so we're all in.
Great. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you plan to keep the clothes secure? Where do you keep the clothes? And how do you provide security for the items that you're storing for clients?
So that's a really good question. We thought about that, and we just take Georgetown as an example. I don't know if you've been there recently, but like we said, the place is actually in Gates. We would be able to have machines in there, and then like an actual storage area, like specific how to keep it super secure. It's the same way anything would be secure. It's just going to be behind lock and key. Everything's going to be together. Each of these loops is going to have a number on it, which is going to be identifiable to each individual student or whoever uses it, so that things don't get mixed up. But as far as security, it's going to be pretty basic. Didn't really think about that a lot.
And then just in terms of like lost clothing, we plan to have a policy that's kind of in line with other laundry services, in that the reimbursement is equal to about a third to a quarter of the monthly cost of the laundry service. So for instance, for the $40 a month plan, a lost loop would be $10.
Actually, I have a question about the $40 a month. How do you... Well, $40, I don't know how much a gym membership is, in some of the cities that you plan to roll out, but let's say in this city, a gym membership is usually, in the city, about $60, and that's a fairly good gym. How do you plan to compete with the fact that $40 to hold your clothes there is nearing the amount it costs to have access to an entire facility?
Yeah, so we think that the $40 is not just for the storage, but also for the laundry services. If you look at competing laundry services offered here in the neighborhood, one semester of laundry here is actually $600. So you bring it to a monthly level, we're charging, yes, we're not doing all people's laundry, but we're doing the high intensity as well as kind of the high usage laundry. And we're offering this service, especially as you kind of get into the semester plan where it's less expensive per month than that $40 a month. We are offering it for a fraction of the price of current laundry services.
It's also important to note that people are paying for convenience. You're partially paying for the fact that you can be anywhere in the city or anywhere on campus and just decide, hey, I want to go to the gym. You didn't have to plan it out in your whole day, and I think for the amount of times people make that decision or would like to be able to do that, $40 is, they're paying for that convenience through that $40.
So you mentioned that you're going to be greener than the average laundry batch just because you're increasing usage, which means obviously you're mixing a lot of different people's stuff in one laundry batch. I'm just curious, just practically, do you have any idea how you're going to do that without differentiate between people's clothes?
So this is actually an example, thanks to whoever loaned us this, of something that the athletic department actually uses here. This whole thing is washable. So you put your socks on and you just toss it in there. Whole thing's washable. That's how you distinguish them. It would have a number that's logged to your go-card or to your ID. So that's how you would do that. And obviously, if you're working out in it, we're kind of assuming that you're not putting insane stuff in here that's going to bleed onto everybody else's stuff. If it's workout gear, it's not gonna ruin all the other clothes that are in there.
Great, nice.
Quick correction, this group was announced as Searchlight. Their name is actually Blueprint. My mistake.
Hello. Y'all are so far back I can't see any of you. I'm sure y'all really pretty. You can sit down here if you want to. Hi, Michael. Thank you. Dylan's logging in. I'm Christopher. I'm with Sam. I'm warming him up. And I'm with Sam and Michael. And we're going to be pitching on a better way to counsel students to get into colleges like Georgetown. Eventually. I'm talking about you lot, not me.
No, I understand. I'm gonna do that too. Yeah, you better be quick. Even if you're really fast, or if you're really fast. Every day.
Yay! Okay, hi everyone. Like I said, my name is Christopher. I'm here with Sam, Michael, and Dylan, and we're presenting on our company Blueprint, which is a better way to do college acceptance counseling. As you can see, we have an array of backgrounds and experiences, and so we believe we can bring this to this opportunity that we have. So currently there's about one guidance counselor for every 500 students in a public high school. Obviously, even if they're all applying to one school, which that would average out to be probably pretty accurate, you have one guidance counselor theoretically reading 500 applications. They're not getting the time and attention they actually need. And so what's happened is there's this predatory market that's been developed charging up to $100,000 to get into elite universities such as Georgetown and our peer institution. And so we believe there's an opportunity to offer tailored, better, and cheaper products in this space.
So here's more details about the industry that we're going to be entering. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with this from your college admissions experience. On the left, we just want to highlight that this is a growing industry. There are a couple competitors on the right there, some of whom you may have heard of before or even used, but essentially colleges are becoming increasingly more selective and more students are looking to go to college. So many more students are looking for an edge to get into that top tier college that's going to set them up in their career. So essentially, to lay out our business plan, we're starting with a simple assumption, and it's that college students like you guys are very good at getting into college. So congratulations to you all. And second point is that you guys would be excellent resources to help high school students that are looking to get into similar colleges. We're going to offer on the right there pretty similar services to some of our competitors with two big additions. Both discussion of majors and school-specific conversations. Essentially, that boils down to, if you're a marketing major at Georgetown, we think that you would be excellent to talk to a high school student that either wants to go to Georgetown or wants to major in marketing, or ideally both. So our business model is going to connect tutors that are college students with high school students that have some kind of similar interests that would allow the tutor to help them best. Also, we believe that our business is going to be able to leverage personal networks to help grow our business quickly. Because you guys are only 3 or 4 years out of high school, maybe you have younger siblings in high school, maybe you know people that would be able to take advantage of our services, and we think that's going to give us a competitive boost to grow to the size of our competitors. So because there are already several established competitors in this space, we really want to nail down what we're doing better than everyone else. Number one, we think we can provide a better service. If I were a high school student, I would rather talk to someone 3 or 4 years older that's more relatable, that has more experience at that college, than to talk to a 50-year-old professional that has a degree in what they're doing, but isn't as interested in their job and doesn't have the same kind of expertise that you all have about Georgetown. Number two, we think that if we're using college students, we're going to have a lot more flexible schedule to allow our clients to work whenever is free to them. Sometimes you guys are free at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays. Sometimes you guys are free at 10 p.m. on Sunday nights. So we think if we get a vast network of college students together, we're going to be able to offer a more flexible scheduling experience to our clients. And number three, the big problem in this industry is how the pricing works. Some of our competitors use long-term contracts that have high upfront costs, and they try and lock you in for the whole high school experience. We want to use a low hourly rate. You're only paying when you're using one of our tutors, and that's going to allow you flexibility to pay as little or as much as you want, depending on the level of service that you need.
So for the resources we need, so it's a two-sided market. So the basic thing is we need our supply, which is the college students, and our demand, which is the high schoolers. So by attracting those two groups, we're going to use a matching algorithm through our web platform to connect the two based on their preferences. If someone wants to go to Georgetown, they'll be matched with the Georgetown student. So our go-to-market strategy is three-pronged. So first, we'll start out with a digital marketing campaign targeted towards the college students and the high schoolers at specific universities, and then through word of mouth. Now, once we get our start, we'll start this incentive program where high schoolers can refer a friend, and through that, they'll get 1 free hour of our service. And college students on the other side can refer a friend to be a tutor, and they'll get $10 of cash with every new tutor.
Moving in a bit to our financials, like the other group, we do have more detailed, more granular financials in the appendix, but this is just a general breakdown of how our cost structure will look like. We see it mainly as variable in that our main expense would probably be paying for the college students to give advice to the high school students. And then we obviously have the fixed costs related to web hosting and platform development. Our revenues are variable as well, and we see this business as a pay-as-you-go business where you pay $20 or so per hour as you use the services that the college students give you. So in particular for funding, we see it helping in 4 different ways. First would be more market research and determine like the true viability of our product. And in addition to this, developing a sort of minimum viable product or something along those lines. Second would be web development, and then third is platform and algorithm development. These kind of go hand in hand, and it helps develop our true product. And then finally, developing the onboarding materials that we will need to train our employees and everything like that. So that concludes our presentation. Welcome, we welcome any questions.
How does your business incorporate Georgetown values?
Yeah, so if you look at institutions such as Georgetown, we have more people who are from the top 0.1% than from the bottom 20%. 74% of Georgetown is from the top 20% of the income bracket. So if you look at this, it's a self-perpetuating cycle when you have these very expensive services. And you have alumni networks and things that people are able to leverage because they come from a higher socioeconomic status. And the impact of someone coming from a lower socioeconomic status on their life outcome and the economy as a whole is much higher than allowing someone who is wealthy and educated already to come to a university. So by leveraging that, we're incorporating those values of inclusivity, socioeconomics, and everything.
How do you deal with all the logistics issues, the quality control of the students, the rapid turnover of students moving on to other things? There's a lot of kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. So we, in our earlier presentations, and we have this material in the appendix as well, we've designed a two-way feedback system. So people will be able to see the ratings that our staff has had when they are selecting who to work with after the portfolio of people we think they would be a good match with, as well as our staff will be able to do the same to interactions with students. So that way we have a firm control network and going through and being able to have access to that data. Turnover obviously is something that we considered when we were doing this, but because it's an annual turnover and you would have a more or less consistent crop of people able to do the service, we don't think that would necessarily be a problem, especially with the incentives program we've developed.
And one thing on turnover in particular is that high school students become college students, and so we can see our demand almost becoming our supply. So that's one interesting thing.
So I've heard you mention a couple of times that you're designing this program for high school students, and that having college students will enable them to be more relatable. Given that parents are the ones who are likely going to be paying for this, what's your thinking in terms of how they're going to be looking at the service offering and how this will meet their needs?
Absolutely. So I agree with your point that a parent rather, would probably rather have a professional that's like of similar age and has been doing this for a longer amount of time to put their kid and help them get to college. That's the high budget parent that is really willing to get their student into college at any cost, and I'm not sure we can compete with them. What we can compete with are the 2 points. One, that we think it would be a better experience for the high school student. If they're unable to convince their parent of that, then number two, we are a much lower cost service. We put up on the slide earlier that we're looking to price this about 7 times less than the average of our competitors, a difference of about $20 an hour to about $140 an hour. So the point you bring up, we may have to just punt on that demographic and try and earn our clients elsewhere.
And further, just to back that up, more tying into the logistics of it, part of our platform is at the end of these sessions, because it is individual sessions and not a contract, we will, as part of our review, be providing sort of the next steps and a summary of what was covered in that session to the student, which then can then be shared with whoever's actually paying for the service.
So, I love this idea. This is fantastic. I have a younger brother who's in high school right now and graduating soon, and so I've been thinking a lot about how to incorporate, how to get him into Georgetown, quite frankly. So I love the idea. What, first, if I could just give you some advice, you all went through that slide presentation so fast. And it was almost really, I felt like there were a lot of things I could have learned from it, but it was a lot of information on the screen, and you went through it really fast. So just a bit of advice, just, you got time. I really wanted to hear a little bit more. Can we go back to the slide about the go-to-market strategy? I think. Okay, no, that wasn't it. Go back one more. Okay, one more. All right, go back to where yeah, sorry. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about this one in the next slide? Sorry, these are the two that I really wanted to hear more about.
Yeah, so like any platform, it's contingent on having two sides. You need the demand side, we need the high school students, and we need the supply side, which will be the college students. So generally, this is just our demographic that we're looking to target. We're looking to target 10th and 12th graders. And then our college students, we think they will have local knowledge in a sense. They're familiar with their college, they're familiar with the environment, their major, and so we think that is some value that we can tap into from a supply side. And then the next slide, we see you can use like typical marketing, such as like digital advertising campaigns like Google, Google AdWords, Facebook marketing. But we see really our main source in getting customers is the incentive program, which will incentivize people on our platform to adopt our platform. So this can be things such as giving a free hour to anybody who recommends a friend to join the platform, or giving the college student who is an employee some cash for actually bringing on a friend or something, or another college student to work on the platform as well.
So, incentivizing college students, essentially you're saying that $10 cash, is that what you'll be paying college students who are helping high school students get into their college or their major?
Yeah, so this is a one-time thing. Like, let's say I get Dylan to sign up as an employee, then we'll pay him $10 when he does that, and Dylan becomes a successful employee. But the actual money that's being paid is per the use of the platform. So let's say I consult 10 students, then for an hour each. So then I would be paying. Then I would be paid in like for every hour that.
Right. I'm trying to figure out what that is, just to see the cost breakdown benefit in terms of like where you break even.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So this is a little in depth. Right now we see our. There, go to the next one actually. So mainly because everything is variable, we see, except for the actual fixed costs of developing the platform and actually hosting the website, we see that everything is pretty like easy to break even, given that you're just paying for the actual students to give advice. So that's our main point of our cost, and so this is kind of different in a way from other companies right now.
The really simple numbers we started with, we think we can charge $20 an hour. We think we can take $2 or $3 or $4 off of that every hour. And we think we can pay our tutors $15 to $18. And then that spread there is all revenue for us that we don't necessarily have any added costs for.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for having that.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Civic Uja. This is Max Miller and Anthony Vandervoort, and we are all seniors here in the McDonough School of Business. And today we're pitching to you guys on our business, Help Me Out. So the impetus actually for this company, about 2 months ago, I was in my house. I live at 34th and Oak Street, and I went into my bathroom, and I realized I was out of both toothpaste and deodorant. And I was feeling really lazy. It was Sunday, so I didn't want to walk to Vital Vittles, didn't want to walk to CVS. So I looked up on Postmates to see if I could get this, toothpaste and deodorant delivered to my house. And it was a $7 delivery fee for $10 worth of hygiene products. And I was like, man, that's an exorbitant cost for, something that's cost $10. So I was like, there's got to be a better and cheaper way to get something like this delivered to me. So that kind of helped me out. So what exactly is Help Me Out? It's an application platform that connects students with local couriers, which we term helpers, specifically on college campuses. So we have two differentiated offerings. First, we have product delivery services, and then task-based services, which Anthony's going to touch on in the next slide. And what really differentiates us is kind of the supply and demand of the delivery fee. So when you're ordering something, you have the ability to set your own delivery price that you're willing to pay, and all the helpers have a fee that they can accept the price of the delivery fee if they think it's worth their while. It's a campus-specific plan, so our first frontier we see is Georgetown. We're going to partner with on-campus organizations such as the Corp, but that's specific to each campus. And then we have a very comprehensive rating and review system to make sure that our helpers are doing a good job.
Yeah, so as Sid mentioned, we have two main types of services. Those are delivery services and task-based services. So delivery service would be for students who are unable or unwilling to actually go to the store to pick something up. So for example, if you're sick in bed and you need someone to get you medicine from Vital Vittles, that'd be a perfect time to use it. Or if you're too lazy to get your YZ sandwich, another perfect time. A task-based service would be, this is really where the flexibility comes in. Any chore that you need someone to do for you. Oh, what happened there? Yeah, so any chore that you need someone to do for you, you could specify that chore, and if you name a fair price, someone will do it for you. So that could be standing in line for a Hillary Clinton event at Gaston Hall. It could be picking up your dry cleaning, dropping off mail. There's a lot of flexibility.
So benefits over competitors, and you'll hear this mentioned multiple times throughout the presentation, but we really want to hit home that we are distinctly different from our competitors for a couple key reasons. And the first is that we're focused on college campuses, so we can curtail our services to the stores around campus and the places that students really want to get delivered. And also, the user is close to the helper, which means that the delivery is expected to be fast, quick, and on demand. Second, as was previously mentioned, we have two unique offerings which other apps don't have, which is both task-based services and delivery services. And finally, transparent pricing. So when we were doing our research into competitors, we actually noticed that there's a lot of sketchy pricing going on, particularly with Postmates. So for Postmates, if you order 5 items from a store, and when you check out, it says, this is what we think it's going to cost. Well, what it actually costs is what your card gets charged. So there's scenarios where you might order 5 items, and the actual price ends up being $10, $20, $30, or up to $100 more than what you expected, and there's no way to get out of it. So once it happens, you're locked in, and your card is charged. So for us, we created this buffer pricing feature, which essentially means that you can set a price that you're willing to pay over what it says at checkout. So for example, if I order 5 items from Vittles, I can say, I'm willing to pay $10 over what it says at checkout. If it's over that $10, then you'll get a notification on your app, and the helper will call you. And then from that point, you have 5 minutes to either accept the increased price or to cancel and pay $5. So the whole point of that is just to make sure there's not any crazy pricing differences from what you saw at checkout and what actually gets charged. So key activities. What do we need to do besides actually create the app? And the first is the most obvious one. We need to build the relationships with the vendors in and around campus. And we want to make sure that their menu items are up to date, which Postmates doesn't do, and require actually monthly pricing updates to try to avoid any pricing inconsistencies. We also need to appeal to both helpers and users. For helpers, we'll market it as a quick and easy way to make money for the weekend. And then ultimately, when we want to expand, we're going to hire campus ambassadors at other campuses that know which stores on those campuses that people want on the service, and then ultimately expand through that means.
So in terms of key partners, this is kind of a snapshot for what it would like if Georgetown would be different for every campus that we plan to expand to. But first and foremost, we need to get helpers on board. Those are the people who are actually be fulfilling the tasks or the deliveries. And then local retailers and restaurants such as Wisey's, the things that are on campus and just off of campus. And then finally, we'd have to, our web hosting services, we need to partner, Apple, web hosting services like Amazon. But yeah, that's kind of as we develop our app and website.
So yeah, we have three main areas where we're going to add value. For the users, it's really the local scale that makes it better than its competitors. Leads to a quick turnaround and lower prices. Also, they can get delivery from retailers both within and outside the network of other competitors. And there's a lot of versatility in the task-based services, as we touched on earlier. For our partners, they can benefit a lot from cost-free delivery and increased exposure. So someone who might not usually order their food or their products might start ordering if they can get it delivered quickly. And finally, for our helpers, they can work on a flexible schedule and they have the ability to accept their own delivery price, so they benefit as well. So this is just a really quick overview of our cost structure. Our big upfront cost would be developing the app. It can be as high as $30,000, $40,000 for something like this, but a prototype we think would fall within the $10,000. So we'd have to maintain and improve that app each year. And then the rest of the costs are kind of down the road. As we stretch to other campuses, we have marketing expenses, campus ambassadors, as Max touched on earlier. And then background checks, we'd run those for all our employees. It's $20 to $30 per employee. And then finally, regulatory and compliance costs would be on a per situation basis. So our revenue stream is based off a 9% service fee, which would be either added to the pre-tax subtotal for delivery or the total cost of a task-based service. And then down the line, we could potentially have revenue from partners if we forge a really good relationship. So these are some conservative estimates on the right there. The Georgetown network would be around 7,500 students. If even just 20% use it in the first year, 15 times each, at an average order price of $20, which, by the way, is a lot lower than Postmates' average order, we'd have yearly revenue of $40,500 in our first year. And then on the right, there's what it would look like if we expanded to 10 million users in our network. So thank you for listening to our pitch. We're asking for $10,000 so we can get the prototype started. We'll now take questions.
Can you walk me through how you would initially manage the helpers to make sure they were available and there was never a lull?
Yeah, so I currently help run a tutoring company here on campus, so that puts me in charge of recruiting a lot of tutors. So the recruiting aspect would not be hard. I'm in several organizations, as are these guys, and we know a lot of people who would probably be interested in making a couple bucks in their time off. And we, fly around campus, really make sure they get the word out there.
Not so much recruiting, but once you have them, how can you control for them being able and available at any time?
Well, so, I think that we plan, our hope is that you can build it up, enough of a base. I mean, I know as college students, we have a lot of free time. There's a lot of time, if you have 30 minutes, you have an hour, you have an hour and a half where you're like, I would like to make a few bucks during this time. And so we foresee a lot of the tasks being simple things like, going to pick up a sandwich from Vital Vittles, or going to Wisey's, or, picking up dry cleaning or something of that nature. And so, it's like you have 15 or 20 minutes, and you're willing to you want to make $5 or $10 or...
Right, but if I'm a user, how do I make sure that somebody's... I understand what you're saying,
right.
But you need to make sure that somebody's always available.
Right, and that comes with, I think, just building the app and building the base. I think the idea is that we have enough helpers at any given time that there will be somebody on hand to do a task or delivery service. But the value add for helpers is, what we really need to focus on too, which is, as Sid mentioned, the flexibility. Because I don't think it would make sense really to have, people be on call for 6-7 hours a day and visit classes and things like that.
And in the same manner, Postmates, when you go to order something on Postmates, it's not guaranteed that, someone is going to accept your delivery because you might be ordering something that's 20 minutes away. But the hope is that the majority of the time, there will be someone who is there who's willing to, do this task or deliver for you.
How does your business incorporate Georgetown values, and how serious are you guys about launching this?
So as men and women for others here at Georgetown, I don't think there's any better example of students helping students, which is what this would be. All of our helpers would be students. All of the benefit people would be students.
In terms of how serious we are, I think that for us, this kind of started just like a class project. We were going to do it, but once we got this opportunity to pitch here, we kind of started thinking about it a bit more seriously. And if we were to receive funding, I think it's definitely something that we'd look to pursue.
So I'm curious about the minimum in your minimum viable product. $10,000 is actually quite a bit of money for a very early seed stage venture. I'm wondering if you've given any thought to how you could pilot this for less, a lot less.
Yeah, I have a really good friend who currently develops apps. I haven't seriously brought it to the table, but I did mention that we're in this pitch competition. We could get $2,000, $3,000, or $10,000, and he said for $2,000 he would definitely create a prototype to the best of his ability. He's not a professional, he's a student, but he's very talented. So this is not the only thing we would accept here, but it would just really be the best regard.
On sort of similar to that note, I don't know, ever heard of DoorDash?
Yes.
All right, so one of the founders of DoorDash, really what they did was they had a person, the founder went to doors and said, hey, you want to order this thing, and they built a website, people would click on whatever order it was. They themselves, it would be nothing but them ordering it to him. He would go and pick up the food himself, bring it back. And so for the first 6 to 9 months, he was the helper. Right? So if you're talking about bringing on helpers, are you three willing to be the helpers in your own startup for as long as it takes until you get to a place where you can manage those helpers is the first question. The second question is similar to Peter's. $10,000, an app takes time, it takes money, and it's going to take... if I was an investor, I would want to know that you could do this without the app.
Right,
and so what are the ways that you can do this without the app, without the technology?
Got it. Yeah, to answer your first question, most people know with startups, you really have to grind it out. I think that's something we recognize here. We'll all be part-time next semester, so if we do get this going, we can definitely, we have to be the helper to start it out. So from that end, yeah, we're definitely able to be the helpers at the beginning of the stage. Yeah.
And I think that in terms of your second question, right, the app we see it necessary to build scale, to have a lot of users on our application. But right, the reason that we created it, we see there's a need. There's so many random things that people do on a day-to-day basis that would be nice to have someone do for you. Like if you can request someone to go pick up whatever it is for $3. You can send it out there. You can put it out there, and then that can be done for you. So I think that especially early on, that can be an interaction between two people rather than on an application. I think that we're willing to take that on, especially initially, prior to building out the app.
That's great.
presenting RISE today. I'm Mike. This is also Mike. This is Kevin. This is going to be focused around the problem of sleep. So basically, our goal at RISE is to have mornings looking something like this, but unfortunately many times it looks something like this. And just a show of hands, how many of you guys regularly use an alarm clock to wake up every day? Almost everyone, right? So throughout most of high school and into college, I was also like that, where I would rely on my alarm clock and my mornings literally did look like this. So last year when I entered an entrepreneurship class, I started focusing on this problem of sleep. Specifically, I started contacting sleep experts. I did my research. I was talking to students also. And one of the most valuable insights I gained from all that research was that the widespread use of these alarm clocks actually signals a deep problem in our society, namely that we don't allow our bodies to sleep as much as they need to. So basically, if you think about it, if you just slept without an alarm clock on, your body would sleep until it needed all its rest and then it would wake you up. But with an alarm clock, you're physically interfering with that and saying, look, I need you to wake up at this point. And what that actually ends up doing is giving you a 9% chance of waking up at the optimal time, which leaves you with a groggy feeling, which leaves the morning experience quite miserable, like that picture detail.
So now I just want to get into what the kind of core problem is people are not getting enough sleep. People are sleep deprived. And as college students, we're very susceptible to this. And this kind of just leads into the two main reasons why people aren't sleeping and why we're not sleeping enough. They either don't prioritize it, or they do not believe that they just have enough time in the day to do it, whether it be assignments, writing a paper, things of that nature. So I put this up here just to really show and educate people that there are so many negatives to not getting enough sleep and sleep deprivation. This can include stress, low energy, and even a shorter lifespan. So it really shows that these negative effects both do have short-term effects and long-term. And also, if you're just chronically sleep deprived, and in the cycle, you're not even going to realize it. So every day, you want enough energy to get through your day, you'll be tired, and you don't realize this, and that's kind of dangerous because you just kind of accept this as a norm. And we want to educate people to make them realize that it doesn't have to be this way. And just besides the health benefits, there are also a lot of economic benefits to getting more sleep. So according to the Wall Street Journal, for those who aren't getting enough sleep, 1 more hour of sleep could correlate to a 60% increase in pay. So there are many incentives for people to sleep more. And also I just want to talk a little bit about sleep inertia. This kind of goes hand in hand with sleep deprivation. So when you hit your snooze button in the morning, you kind of put your body into shock, and just your body doesn't know where it is in the sleep cycle. And we see that some competitors are already kind of addressing this need to make sure that you don't feel groggy, 4 hours into the day. So we have competitors like Clocky, where you just chase this alarm around the room just to get you out of bed, or even Pavlov that will shock you to get you up. And this kind of does address the sleep inertia issue, but it doesn't really get to the core of the problem, which is sleep deprivation, and people are not sleeping enough. And we want to take a holistic approach to address both these issues.
Yeah, and so now looking at our product, this is kind of our solution. First is dealing with the sleep inertia. And we have the physical button where the alarm's going to go off on your phone. And you're going to keep this next on your bedstand, but you're going to keep the physical button in a kitchen, bathroom, wherever it takes you to get up, get going in the morning. And the alarm's going to go off, and it's going to continue to go off without a snooze until you physically get up, get out of bed, and go into the kitchen. And that's how we look to fix the sleep inertia. And then while that's going on, the application on your phone is going to gather the data, and we're going to pull that data, aggregate it, and it's going to collect and kind of create a tailored content for each individual, which will inform the user of all the core sleeping habits. And this is really how we're going to kind of affect the sleep deprivation issue. And so there are two users, basically. The one's kind of the never enough time users who really just want to fix the sleep inertia, where they keep snoozing, they just want to wake up, they want to get out of bed. And we want to kind of tailor, or kind of move them over to enlightened, but really the function of the alarm for them, for the never enough time users, is just to wake up. And so we eventually want to kind of change platform, inform them, and really kind of enlighten them and kind of create an understanding for the need of sleep, in which people really aren't that well informed about. And so by doing this, we have the tailored content, everything, informing them, and it's kind of thinking about it like a gym membership. The alarm clock is just kind of like a gym membership. You have that, but you never necessarily go all the time. The app, the application, the information is that trainer that kind of informs you and creates the resources that enables you to get that extra amount of sleep.
So finally, what would we do? What would we do with the $10,000? So basically, right now we're poking at hypotheses in the dark. Right, we don't have any product to test these hypotheses with. So with this money, we would create an MVP in which we can create this physical product as well as an app that will collect this data and ultimately find out what's really going to get people going to sleep. Because that's what we're selling. We're selling sleep, and however we have to get there, that's what we want to do. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. How does your business incorporate Georgetown values, and how serious are you about this business?
So in terms of Georgetown values, I think I really do believe in the power of sleep, and I think all those things were huge. And they really, really spoke to me. When I made this change in my life, I felt a huge difference, and I genuinely want to impact other people's lives in this way. In terms of how serious this is, I think I was doing research a year ago, and I've been kind of playing with it ever since. And when these guys came aboard, we were all very excited about the idea. So I think we're very serious about it.
So I'm just trying to understand the solution. I'm seeing something about a button that goes in the bathroom, in an app. What's the it?
So part of it, it's kind of the two of them combined. The first part is that little physical button that just gets you up and out of the bed, because everyone knows that feeling in the morning where you just don't want to move or get out of bed, so you just hit the snooze, and it continues to happen over and over again, and you're not actually getting that necessary amount of sleep because you're kind of in this weird state of just REMs, and it's just not really, you're not going to function well when you wake up. And then
So the app part of it is so that's the first part, just getting you to stop snoozing and get on with your day. But the app part of it is going to be able to get data on the app and tell you how much you're sleeping on average, and if an enlightened user is motivated enough, it can start doing tests on the app. How is your reaction time based on how much sleep you've gotten? How is your mood at 2 p.m. when it's your siesta zone versus when an hour after you wake up or whatnot? So that is almost like a persuading factor to get you to start sleeping more and start becoming an enlightened user. That's
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. I think it seems you've done a great job of articulating the problem. The solution seems sort of thin in terms of addressing the individual, the issues that you're talking about. And even if, as you describe now, what the app is doing, I'm having a hard time understanding if you're, for example, you talk about tracking sleep cycles. What is it in the solution you're proposing? How would you actually be doing that?
So physically, when you press the button, it would link to the app every time. So it tells you when you're waking up every time, and then you have to manually put in when you're going to sleep every time. But then it's just it's tests on the app. Basically, what people do, there's something called sleep inventories where you can track for a week or 2 weeks, how much sleep are you getting, and then all the different factors that will affect you, your mood, your productivity, and whatnot. So that will be manually entered by users. So basically, being able to track that, and then we can kind of diagnose how well you're doing, a sleep score almost. So it's kind of a persuasive factor in that sense.
Thanks.
I used to have this problem that you're talking about, just having an alarm right next to my bed. And a really easy way for you to test the concept, which is what I did, was to just have the phone not in your bed instead, and just have it in another room. That way it kind of forces you to get up. So if you want to see how that works out, you can definitely try that.
No, it's funny you say that. I actually tried that, and I'm actually such a deep sleeper that I didn't hear it from where, and I also annoyed my kids. So, no, but it did get me, when I did hear it, got me out of bed, and it worked. But that's a great point. No, thank you. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Millennials are choosing to spend their money on experience and not on goods. They want to travel, they want to see the world, they want to experience new things and try new food. But the problem is that they can't afford to. They don't have the time, they don't have the money. Bullseye Hot Sauce is a global-inspired premium hot sauce that people can have the experience they're craving for a price they can afford. My name is Chaz. I'm here with Yingyu and Spencer, as well as our partners Florence and Kelly, and we're excited to share Bullseye Hot Sauce with you today.
So here's our mission statement. It's to open customers' minds and sinuses and help the world stay saucy. When looking at the hot sauce market as a whole, it's very much a growing industry right now. It's grown 150% since 2000, which is more than mayo, mustard, ketchup, and barbecue sauce combined. 56% of households right now own hot sauce in the U.S., and that's significantly more for households headed by millennials. When looking at our value proposition, we're focusing on three major things. The first is to introduce new flavors that aren't currently in the market. So when looking at the key players in the market, you're looking at Tabasco, Frank's Red Hot, very standard flavors, and we want to provide new value. When looking at hot sauce users in general, they tend to seek new flavors, and so that's one major way we can see succeeding. Another is to make it a premium product, which doesn't currently exist in the market. And a third is to use natural ingredients. If you look at vinegar and hot peppers, they're already natural preservatives, and so we feel we can have a shelf life of at least 9 months even without using preservatives. These are a few of the hot sauce ideas we came up with, inspired from all around the globe. If you look at an example for the African hot sauce, we use the piri piri pepper, which is extremely popular in Africa but hasn't been introduced to this market yet. So we see a lot of this in all of these sauces, and try to really put a lot of research into peppers that hadn't been introduced yet but were extremely popular, and varied our level of spices to create these sauces.
So we plan to segment our market in a few different ways. First is on disposable income, but also the importance of seeing a person's values reflected in the brands that they purchase, and also on their preferred spice level. And so we want to target a healthy, socially conscious consumer that's looking for adventure in their food and is looking for a little more kick than they can get in a lot of other foods. And so a few of our key partners. Union Kitchen is going to be essential for us. We hope to apply for the Accelerator program so that they'll not only be a partner but an investor as well. We want to join them not only for their facilities but also for their network in the city where we hope to start. Made in DC is a collaborative network of DC-founded businesses that help each other and also help the community, which we're very committed to. In terms of places where we think we can sell, Union Kitchen has an agreement with the regional Whole Foods that allows shelf space entrance, which would be important for us to test viability. In addition, we think that Dean and DeLuca, Glenn's Fresh Farm Markets, have similar target consumers as we do. Chef Jose Andres' Think Food Group and Blue Apron offer exciting partnership opportunities that we can get our sauce beyond the region.
We expect our revenue to come from 3 channels. About 80% of our sales will come from our wholesale customers, which is recurring and sector-dependent. Another 15% will come from our partnership, which is also recurring but volume-dependent. The remaining 5% will come from our e-commerce platform, and it will be transaction-based and product feature-dependent. While we expect all 3 revenue streams to grow over the next few years, we see the most growth in our partnerships as we reach out to more restaurants and the meal kit delivery industry matures. In terms of expenses, we expect to accrue payroll, SG&A, membership dues to Union Kitchen, as well as R&D expenditures. On average, consumers pay between $3 to $7 per bottles of hot sauce, and Bullseye will sell for $6.99 per 8-ounce bottle. We'll sell to our wholesale customers for 60% of that price, and Bullseye's partners can buy it in gallons, which will cost $60 per unit.
Like any food-based business, we do have a few risks. The first being that with agricultural products, there is variability in supply. Since we are only using natural ingredients, we think we're slightly more susceptible than some of our competitors. In addition, because we plan to import our peppers from across the world, we are subject to heightened risk of protectionist measures as well as tariffs and currency fluctuations. And lastly, we think that we know we are entering a market that is both dominated by few players and highly saturated, and so there might be a higher customer acquisition cost than we accounted for. We want to reinforce our social responsibility component, not only using natural ingredients, but as I mentioned with Made in DC, we are committed to our community here. And so we plan to host an annual Saucy Day, where we'll donate sauce for home chefs to draw inspiration from and compete to be named the best home chef of DC. All proceeds from this will go towards skills training for homeless individuals to help them join the food service industry, which is one of the quickest ways to help promote them out of homelessness. With your investment today, we hope to expand our bottling line. So currently, Union Kitchen does have a bottling facility, but we'd like to automate it further, reducing our need for labor costs. We would like to be able to purchase glass bottles with our branding on it, reducing our need for plastic wrapping on top of those bottles, cutting down on cost, and reducing our environmental footprint. And lastly, we hope to sign forward contracts with some of our key international suppliers. Not only will this help us cement the relationship and reduce our risk of currency fluctuation, it will also help them be able to invest more in sustainable agriculture. Thank you, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Can you talk a little bit about the consumer segmentation? Are some consumers high hot sauce consumers, and therefore it's not just the fact that they're wealthy and that they're interested in food experience, they actually buy a lot of hot sauce. And who are those people and how do you get to them?
Yeah, so one of the important things for us will be getting shelf space on Whole Foods, but also working with our partners. So Blue Apron would be a great opportunity for us to see who's using our hot sauce most. We do think there are some people out there, maybe people who come from other countries or other cultures where hot sauce is more prevalent, but they can't source that here, that might use our hot sauce to spice up their food. We think that because our natural ingredients will last a little shorter as a shelf life than some of our competitors, that we're looking to target people who use hot sauce more.
So I understand through the partnership with Union Kitchen, you'll have a distribution entry point into maybe Whole Foods or something like that. But beyond that, how do you foresee being able to, I'm mostly interested in looking at your wholesale prediction of 5% e-commerce, and then, I forget, it was very high for wholesale, like 80. And so you're just doing 5% direct to consumer. Is that from the e-commerce?
5% will be sold directly on our e-commerce platform.
Okay, and all the rest is wholesale except for the 15% partner.
In the first year.
Can you explain those partnerships to me?
So the partnerships are with Blue Apron and Think Food Group or another.
But you also had Whole Foods on that.
So we would see Whole Foods as a wholesale customer.
Okay, so Blue Apron's a partner, Whole Foods is a wholesale customer.
Yes. The agreement that Union Kitchen has is that you sell to Union Kitchen your goods and that they sell to Whole Foods.
Okay.
That's the way they do their books.
Okay. That clears it up.
Great. I got a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Actually, I got a lot of questions. First, why hot sauce? Like, why are any of you invested in bringing hot sauce from around the world to people? Like, why is that important to you personally?
So I co-founded a food business last year, and one of the things that we did was draw on international inspiration for our dishes. And what we saw was that people were really craving this experience, but they wanted it in a few key areas. And where we saw a lot of potential was in our sauces, but a lot of people were focused on hot sauces in particular. It's something that can be added to a dish that you're making. So you're not necessarily asking customers to try an entirely different cuisine, rather just a different flavor. So we think it's an accessible entry point.
And I think another reason when we were brainstorming on ideas for this project, we wanted to focus on something that we would really enjoy doing. So I know myself and a couple of our team members really like hot sauce, and so that's why we originally chose it. Because it's something that, if we were granted the money, we'd be more inspired to actually do and have more fun working on.
Can you go back to the slide that had the different places throughout the world where you would sort of source hot sauce? So how do you get this sauce? Who makes it? Is it in a facility somewhere where they're making it? Are you buying it wholesale from people? Are you buying it from small businesses that are actually positioned and stationed in these areas where that money goes back to the communities wherein it was developed and created? Or how do you maintain the level? I'm asking specifically about the level of integrity that you maintain when supporting communities that make this sauce for the world.
So just to clarify, we're making all of the sauce ourselves. The peppers themselves are coming from these places, and as part of our R&D expense budgeting, we plan to travel to meet these local partners. We don't want to be working with industrial-sized food organizations that have farms across the world. We want to be working with local partners to invest in them and invest in their communities. And so we plan to spend time and money actually visiting them if possible, and if not, speaking as much as we can with them digitally.
Would you ever think to hire people from these regions which perhaps might have more insight into how this is developed than you will?
That was something that we hadn't previously considered. I think if we were able to, that's something that we would be open to exploring. There's no reason that we wouldn't want their expertise so much as we think early on our focus needs to be on just creating a product and producing the best we can and getting initial distribution.
I just wanted to share something with you. I was just listening to a food trend forecaster talking about the bell curve on foods and trends and so forth. And she did bring up hot sauce as one that was kind of saturated, which you mentioned in the presentation. I guess I just want to make sure that you all are going to be really trying to differentiate because it is a very saturated.
Yeah, I mean, we know how saturated it is. We think we have a unique concept, and because our focus is global, we can always keep expanding if a specific line is selling better than others. It gives us a lot more flexibility than more general hot sauces that are based in one location.
I like your angle a lot. I did want to bring up that. I think this is.
Thank you.
Where would you say how would the $2,000 help you, or the $2,000 or $3,000?
So we plan on investing ourselves, so we wouldn't want this investment to be the upfront R&D. We really see this money as allowing us to scale. And so we would hope to use the largest investment to focus on the bottom line itself. This would have long-term savings for us if we'd have to use fewer people to actually bottle the sauce, as well as the bottles themselves. It would reduce costs, but also reduce our environmental impact.
Great. Judges, as you finish your score sheets, hand those to Charlotte. And while we're calculating scores, it won't take us very long here, but I've asked a couple of our entrepreneurs and residents to make some general comments for feedback to the class and to those companies they've seen present so far today. So John and Peter, you can make present some feedback.
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to all the teams. I think it's very impressive, especially for it sounds like the first time that you guys have done this. I think it's great. It's great to see these ideas come to life. I liked a lot of the value propositions. I liked the way that you used a personal story to bring these things to life. It adds credibility. It makes us understand the problem and how acute it is, and I think that was great. One thing that I think could be helpful going forward in these kinds of presentations is to integrate some kind of a low-cost pilot, some data that shows, you know what, we did this with 3 of our friends. Or we used Twitter. We couldn't build out the app, but we used Twitter. We used Facebook group, and we actually showed that there was demand. Where you can take a risk off the table for the investor, that's something that has huge value. And taking the risk off the table normally has to do with demand. Is there really demand for this? And a second one, which is big, especially in consumer plays, is around customer acquisition cost. And wherever you hear assumptions or you think that it's not really going to cost us anything for marketing because this is just normally, that's something that you really want to have some data on, how much it's going to cost you to acquire a customer, because that's probably the number one cost that you will have going forward. So anything you can do to kind of enhance those two pieces going forward is a big, big plus. Otherwise, I thought this was very impressive, and thank you for inviting us to be a part of it.
First thing I want to say is congratulations. Congratulations to the teams that presented today, and I understand that all of you put business plans together over the last semester, which was the first step, I think, for many of you, not all of you, but many of you on the entrepreneurial path. So a round of applause for all of you. In reviewing the presentations, I'm so glad, Jeff, that you gave me this opportunity to speak, because I just felt this really strong sense. Few people have ever accused me of pulling my punches when I provide feedback. So, for those of you to whom I asked really tough questions, it was done with love. But it also, I think, in some ways, belies what's really in my heart, which is that I'm rooting for you. And there were some very strong businesses that were presented today. Some of which made it on stage, and some of which are still sitting here in the audience. And what I saw was actually some really compelling opportunities where, with a few tweaks here or there, there's something that you could really build. So the main thing I want to leave you with is that you've got a team of entrepreneurs in residence led by Jeff who want to help you succeed with your businesses. And I've just seen it too many times over my last 3 years as an entrepreneur in residence, where entrepreneurs have come in and with just one or two conversations with an entrepreneur who's been there and seen this, we can help you shift that business to a thing that will, where it's a couple of upstream changes at the strategy level, and it will make all of the difference in terms of your ability to execute around your business. And so what I hope is that you'll take advantage of this resource, perhaps before you leave, certainly when you come back. Our Chalk Talks are a really easy point of entry to get to know us, and they'll be restarting in January. And then between now and January, you can go to the Startup Hoya's website, and you'll see all of our biographies listed, mine included. And I always respond to emails, and will always set up time for you to talk, and I can say for all the rest of the entrepreneurs. So that's my main thing. Just know that we're here as a resource. We want you to succeed. Did you want to add something, Laura? Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. And then, for those of you who are about to graduate, we have another organization that's designed to support you in entrepreneurship as you go forward, which is the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Alliance, of which I'm the president. So this is just the beginning of the journey. The Alliance, which is, the website is hoyapreneurs.org. We have a couple of cornerstone programs for the Alliance, one of which is a annual Entrepreneur of the Year award, where several alumni who were just a year or two out of school were actually won category awards at the Entrepreneur of the Year award. It's an amazing event to go to and just plug into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And you can actually meet some of these incredibly accomplished entrepreneurs. Another program that we do, I think I may have mentioned this earlier, is our alumni pitch competition. So it's a pitch competition like you saw today. It's alumni-founded companies. And the deadline for that competition is coming up. So the submission deadline is December 15th. And then for those who make the deadline, there will be 4 companies that will be competing for our pitch competition in Seattle. It'll be moderated by a judge of a panel of venture capitalists who have extensive experience investing. There's the opportunity to win a prize when you win that competition, but you're also getting immediate exposure to 5 VCs and investors who will be on your judging panel, and a room full of people who have the potential to make angel investments and venture investments in your business. So, hoyapreneurs.org. When you do graduate, you can sign up now and get on our list and you'll be in the loop. Thank you.
All right, awesome. So, the moment of truth is coming here. As we finalize the counting and writing team names on the big checks, I do want to just strongly encourage. I know very few Georgetown students take that plunge and start a company right out of school. For those of you who are interested and serious about it, we'd love to help you. We do have a few every year that do it, and those like Claudia or Brandon, we've had a lot that have had success in doing that. But for many of you, this may be something where we're planting a seed, where you're going to go work on Wall Street or consulting for a couple of years, but you're thinking about entrepreneurship, and you don't give up that dream, and because a lot of times you'll get bored or feel somehow unfulfilled in that big corporate job. And maybe one day, a few years from now, you'll want to start a company or go join a startup that somebody else has founded. So those are different options. With that, I guess we're almost ready, right?
Yeah, let me just say it.
Okay, Bill's got a few things to say here first.
Just a few things. First, thank you for all of you for coming out today. Thank you for your work throughout the semester in the class. Thank you for all the yous who pitched today. Special thanks to Jeff for assembling our judges team and to our judges for spending time with us. Your time is extremely valuable and your insights are extremely helpful, so we're grateful for you to be here. I also want to thank our partners today, Startup Hoyas, and the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Initiative, as well as the Georgetown Institute for the Study of Markets and Ethics, which Justin and I are part of. And as we get the final few strokes on the checks, let me just suggest that the teams that do win, you have this window for, I know a lot of you are eventually headed off to jobs elsewhere, but a window second semester, a window through this summer. And I hope that the students and across the sections that have seen these presentations will also, I mean, part of the Georgetown spirit is, if you do have advice or thoughts for these teams, particularly the ones that are walking away with money today, to get in touch with them and say, hey, here's an idea I have, here's an idea that you might think about to market your plan, to develop it. I know a friend who actually does work on some programming, or does do websites. Let me see if I can put you in touch with them. Because part of the value of the Georgetown Network here is that students learn from each other, and this has been true across the presentations this semester. You're getting up there, giving pitches, giving critiques that you can learn from. And it's also the case you're developing a network that's going to stay with you after you graduate. We hope that that is something that we showcase and develop here, but certainly does grow after you leave the campus with your degree, and that you stay in touch and think about ways in which your Georgetown education inspires you to help others, to be men and women for others, not only in your Rugby community, but also as an alumni community. So, without further ado,
all right. We'll start with announcing the third place team in the first ever Ventures and Values pitch competition. Third place team is Rise. Congratulations. The second place team, you guys don't go too far, we're going to get one more picture with all the winners here in a minute. Second place team for $3,000 is Blueprint. Hey, Chris, can we go black screen on the, can we darken the screen if possible? Champion and access to $10,000 in expenses they can draw down if they run with this business idea is Bullseye Hot Sauce. Congratulations. teams to stick around for a couple more photos, but for everyone else, we are officially adjourned. Thank you so much. And thanks one more time to our judges. And we do have some snacks in the back. So there's a way to thank you for being here supporting the event. Compliments of your faculty here.